This is the B-Team Podcast, brought to you by Jackrabbit Illustrated. The B-Team is presented by Drake's Place in Battle, South Dakota, and sponsored by Jackrabbit Central and Shenanigans in Sioux Falls. Now, here are your B-Team hosts, Brendan and Ben.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the B-Team, brought to you by Cottonwood Coffee and Bistro, who is going global here, and a whole bunch of cool stuff going on with those guys. And, of course, by Drake's Place, who are our other title sponsors. Saw Robert at the tailgate last weekend. That was a good time. It was nice to have a good home tailgate for once, like it was like months or something. But it's nice to have the first one after the summer and be at home for a tailgate and have the first beer in the stadium. Did you get my videos, Ben?
I did. Yes.
You did? Good. I was worried.
I got the beer videos.
Did you know it tastes better inside a stadium?
Does it?
It does.
I have had, I will say,
amazing.
I may or may not have snuck into the club section and grabbed a beer before. So I know what it tastes like, but to legally and like properly taste one is going to be,
Right.
It'll be nice.
Right. No, and I was actually really impressed with how that took off. Honestly, I expected that to be a disaster. The only real line you had to wait in was the line they make you get wristbands like you do for tailgating.
Yeah.
Fun tip for everybody who is listening. If you are listening, thanks for joining us on whatever you may be joining us on Facebook, YouTube, FCS Fans Nation, or Spotify, Apple, iTunes, whatever. Your hair looks fantastic.
Something going on with it.
If you do want to get skip that wristband line inside the stadium, if you have one, I was told at least by the gal at the wristband station that if you go ahead and get your wristband out at the tailgate lots, you don't need to get one in the stadium. So that's the quick and easy way around that if you don't want to, because that line was kind of long, but they did a really good job. And honestly, with where Chad and I sit, I don't know if it'll be here this week because if you did listen to the A-Team, Matt was upset and justifiably so. But Justin Sell let him know and let us know that, hey, they are working on fixing a lot of things. So they might, and I did read that they were looking at maybe moving some of the beer stands around or seeing how it works a little better because they had one right under our section. And it was awesome. I mean, it adds like $50 worth of value to those seats because I just have to, I walk, it's a shorter walk than it is for me to the bathrooms, and there was nobody in a line ever there. So that was sweet.
No, yeah. I mean, and Matt's rant was rightfully so, but credit to our administration, like they listen to us. I mean, we tell them, we give them feedback, constructive feedback, like, hey, this is a problem. And they say, yeah, we'll work to fix it. So definitely keep coming out to games. They want to make it a great experience for everybody. So if you had a bad experience in the past, come on back. They're continually improving every game, and they're listening to our feedback. So keep coming for that. But yeah, beer sales are super exciting. I'm excited to have my first beer. I went down to Post Malone in Omaha last weekend. That was a blast. But the problem
was it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I hated missing our first home game, but it was worth it. It was a lot of fun. The problem was that I got to stream the first half and things looked like they were going pretty well. And so I was kind of confident, and then I got into the arena and they said, the service stopped working. And so I just texted you guys and said, hey, just text me some updates. And they were going really well for a while. And then they started to get like, you were like, well, now we fumbled. Oh, well, now they scored. Oh, now they got an onside kick. I was like, what is going on? Like,
right. Well,
so living that game through a text was not fun.
Yeah, and there was some wonky calls. Like one of them, Stig even said the official apologized to him because we got an interception before one of the drives they scored. And we got called for, it was before half when they scored. we got called for too many men on the field because they were running no huddle offense. They subbed a guy, and we're supposed to have time to sub our guy as well. They didn't give us time, so we were subbing guys in and out.
Yeah,
and they ran the play, and once the ball snapped, like it's too late. There's 12 men on the field, and you can't uncall that call. So
I did see that on the replay that they subbed, and then they did not give us time to sub back in.
Right.
Yeah, that was terrible.
And I'm pretty sure from our viewpoint that their onside kick actually hit the back of their guy who they sent down to eliminate our blocker so they could recover the ball. And I'm pretty sure it hit his back before 10 yards. But that is what it is. And the crazy thing is, because really like an onside kick's almost like a turnover, right? It's like you fumbled the kickoff. So if you add that in, we were -3 in the turnover differential, and we still won the game.
Yeah.
Like, how many times are you gonna? How many times does that happen for a team? You still win the game. That's
and
to me pretty good.
Realistically, we should have been -2 and probably won by 3 scores if we don't fumble there.
Right. Because we'd have been minus. Yeah. Right.
And yeah, because there was only like 5.5 minutes left, and we were driving. Angel Johnson comes in and fumbles the ball, and like if he doesn't fumble, we are marching down the field. Like they could not stop us at that point. We would have scored at a minimum a field goal and been up by 17 points.
Right. And I don't want to put too much on Angel for that. I mean, the young guy, he came in.
No,
his first run was awesome. I was like, oh, all right, who's this cat? Let's go. And then he got popped, but yeah, that fumble was crucial. I mean, kill you.
You gotta have ball security there, but that's the weird thing about this game is that because it came down to the wire like it did, it feels like, man, we played terrible. Like we should have, we almost lost that game. But like if you rewind, like as I was watching that game, it was up until that fumble. It was like, well, we're going to win by 17, and this is a no-brainer,
right?
And a 17-point win would have felt comfortable. That's what the spread was. That's what the game should have ended up. And if that happens, I feel like we feel a lot better about that win than we do now.
Right. Well, like 17 or more, because
the
offense was humming. I mean, they just had a 9-yard run. That one was going to get stopped short, I think, anyways.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things watching our offense, and I've felt this way kind of throughout the Iowa game a little bit, and then watching it progress through this game, because all the questions are, where's the offense? Where's the offense? Where's the offense? And it's not necessarily where's the offense, it's where are the explosive plays, right? That's been, and we're so accustomed to that. Right. I mean, we're accustomed to hitting a 40, 50, 60-yard play every game. The interesting thing from Dustin here is it's post Malone's fault that we barely won from Dustin Helton, which I agree. I blame Ben for that.
Yeah.
Chad's checking in from Alexandria. He's on the road, so he couldn't join us here. So we're gonna get real off the rails.
Still making typos.
Right? For protocol. But I was gonna say, this is the same mic I've had forever. It's like a $25 mic. And Ben
Here's
froze.
that up.
There he is.
No, we're good. Speaking of your setup, it's legit. You didn't have this before.
Yes, I did.
No, this is something new. This is a new look, Brendan, here.
Like a new background, you mean? Like you talking about that?
I don't know. You look better. Is it a ring light or something? Did you put makeup
light on? Oh, you know what probably is? It's probably the lighting in this room.
That's what I was. Yeah.
So I'm in my wife's offense now. Let's get sideways. My computer is one of those Lenovo yoga jobbers that'll flip inside out, whatever. Well, somehow over the course of the summer, that screen broke a little bit.
Okay.
And you remember the other episode where I got closed out of my own computer by the computer and the mouse going nuts, and you're like, stop touching the mouse. Well, it turns out the screen, if a screen on a touch screen is cracked, it thinks you're touching the screen at random weird times. Gotcha. So I'm borrowing Ariel's computer, and we're in her office here because she's got a 3 3-screen setup, and I'm not going to unhook all that. That way we can go. But I do have a ring light. Ariel got me that. I think
that's what I think. That's the difference. I think that's the difference.
I had the ring light last year though. I think it's I don't have that light hanging over my shoulders in our bedroom.
I'm glad it's not your office, because if go back to the previous view, what view were we at before? This is great radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you looking for there, brother?
There's
Get out of here. Shut up. Shut your mouth. Sometimes your skin gets dry when you're on the computer, Ben. Sometimes that happens. Where's Kermit the Frog? I need him up here to do that.
All right.
This is why I didn't want to use your office, honey. Anyways.
Anyway, let's get back.
Anyway, so getting back on track, if you watch our offense, our offensive line's still getting together. They're getting their act together a little bit. Bernstein, if you read Zimmer's article, Bernstein was in line to start this year, and then he got hurt in fall camp. And we play Iowa. We make it through it. Bo Donald gets hurt during the week. Well, that is 2 starting offensive linemen now that you're down. You're throwing a new kid in there they didn't do terrible. They weren't terrible, and you could see them start to, especially in the run game, start to figure out that kind of wonky defensive front that Davis likes to run. And you could see that start happening, that 9-yard run. We started ripping off some bigger chunk runs. And I think throughout the season, we're going to see him start to gel as an offense. And I think that this Butler game is almost this just from an opportunity standpoint, it's almost better than a bye week, because it should give the offense a chance to gel and get in rhythm, get Mark knock all the rust all the way off, because you can see he's slowly knocking that rust off from being out for a year and a half. I think that's going to be huge for us going forwards.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you mentioned the rust. Like, Mark looks like a quarterback that hasn't played in a year and a half. And you mentioned the lack of big plays. And I think Mark mentioned it in a post-game interview of how, like, both Iowa and UC Davis were playing defenses that limited big plays. And so you have to take what you can get against them. Thanks, Jamie. They switched to Pre-Malone. But against those defense, I mean, obviously we didn't have success against Iowa, but I feel like we did what we were somewhat supposed to do against UC Davis, because they were giving us the underneath stuff. They were giving us the 5-7 yard runs. And I feel like that's what we were supposed to do, and that's what we did. And people are frustrated by the lack of big plays. But when that's what a defense gives you, that's what you have to take.
Right. And
you mentioned Zim's article. Matt Zimmer, Argus leader, go read his article. He did a good job of kind of talking about, and I think it was timely. Like, everybody's kind of been talking about our offensive woes, like, and we aren't the offense that we once were. And he kind of talked about, like, why is that? And, he mentioned, like, Gronowski's coming off an injury. The O-line is still gelling. We have a new O coordinator. And so, like, things like all these things combined kind of tells the story of why our offense hasn't taken off like it should. And I think it was a very good kind of recap to kind of bring everything into perspective. So definitely go read that.
Yeah, for sure. And Chad chiming in, he says the Butler game would be a great game for a center to settle in, which I hope so. I do agree. Hopefully they're not super quick. I know they're undersized, but they could be very fast, and that's really hard on center. That's something we got to get under control. But the big thing is too, I think with the big plays is we've always been so dangerous running the ball. So dangerous running the ball for the last 2, 3, 4 years where we were hitting the big plays, because partially these defenses had to bring themselves up to the line a little more. And I think until this line starts to gel a little bit more,
right?
Once they're really as a unit, because you judge an O-line as a unit for a reason, because if that we're thinking the big long run plays. Well, a lot of times you have a run play bust off is because you had a receiver make a great block and your backside blocks are tightened up. You don't have somebody coming in and making a play at 10, 12 yards from the backside as a linebacker or something like that. So that's a huge part of that. And the other thing is we've had the opportunities. We just missed, we've just missed on some of them, and they're going to come. I'm really excited about this game. The interesting thing from this game, because we talk about everybody's focused on the offensive is how good this defense is.
Oh yeah.
We were -3 in the turnovers, right? Their running back put up 115 yards against Cal out of the Pac-12. He got 30 against us. For the first 3 quarters, all they really gave up was 10 points, and one of them was pretty much off of a blown call. So you go from that, and then the fumble happens, they score, and then the onside happens, they score. But realistic, and then they go, and the defensive coaches were so unhappy. I don't know if you noticed, they didn't pick a defensive player of the week,
right?
Which tells you the level that this defense can be at. They're not even they did all that with 3 turnovers plus an onside kick, only allowing 24 points, and the coaches were so disappointed in the effort they didn't name somebody as player of the week. That tells you A, where the standard is, and B, what this defense is capable of. So there is time with this defense for that offense to gel. They are hammering people. Our secondary hits people so hard. Mm-hmm. I like watching the secondary guy, but boy, them boys are hitting people. And that's with a bunch of young guys in. We're on like our 3rd and 4th safeties right now.
Right. Yeah, no, our defensive depth is impressive. Like how many guys we've been able to roll in and like just not skip a beat. How it's just been like constantly like, well, there's a new guy in, and that just you don't miss anything. I will say that our offensive line needs to gel, but I think that if you go rewatch that game in the second half, we were gashing them. Like we were getting 7-8 yards of carry. Amar Johnson and Isaiah Davis were getting big yard plays. And up until that fumble, we were driving on them. They could not stop us in the second half. And we just, again, if we don't fumble there, we probably go in and score either a field goal or a touchdown. And the narrative on this game is way different. It's, well, man, we really look great in the second half. We took over. Our offense started whooping them, but once we fumbled, we basically didn't get the ball back again.
Right,
because
we didn't.
They scored. They got the onside kick, and then they scored again, and then we just kneeled it out. So, I have confidence in our offensive line that I feel like we got some momentum in that second half. We were starting to gash them a little bit. And I would like to mention Amar Johnson looked really, really good. Like that's a bright spot that we need to highlight that could be huge going forward for this offense, is that extra weapon that, we know Isaiah Davis is really good, but between college and NFL, like it's a 2-back league where you can't just have the one guy that's going to carry. It's Zach Zenner did it, but he's about the only guy that's ever done it where like you just didn't need to sub him out. Like every other team, like you have to have that second guy. And Amar Johnson, I think he looked really good. He was getting 7 to 8 yards carries consistently. He's going to break one here and there too, because he's a quick dude. And you get, these teams that, and I think we should credit UC Davis as well, because their defense played pretty well. They had some dudes on their defense that tackled well and filled holes well. I give credit to them too.
Right. Well, and the interesting thing is, for all the talk of, the offense, and, we've been talking about the offensive line here, right? How many because I just looked up the stats. Amar averaged 6.5 yards carry.
Right.
Isaiah averaged 4.5. which is below his normal average, which, is attributed a little bit to what we're talking about, the offensive line gelling. He hasn't gashed anybody for a huge run yet.
Right.
But if you look at it, how many yards do you think we had in that game rushing? Just rushing. We had 250 yards of offense total.
I mean, it had to be like 170 rushing.
185 yards rushing.
Yeah.
That's not
That's
too
what I mean.
bad.
Like, if you look at second half stats, I bet just second half runs or yards per rush, I bet we're over 7. Because they were big runs, and they were
the net yards. The net yards was 140, and I'm not sure where that number's coming from because we got a -16, and that must be Mark's sacks
and stuff. Yeah,
and then the loss of 4 from Angel when he fumbled. But I mean, still, that's nothing to sneeze at. So it's coming together. We got a question from 80 Kenkel here on YouTube. Anybody know Amar's status? Thought he looked better than Isaiah at certain points. I think part of him looked, I don't know if I'd say better than Isaiah. I think that he's such a good complementary back to Isaiah's style that it lends itself to him getting those big gash yards. He's a really, really nice second back to have with Isaiah's bruising style. And he did tend to have more success, I think, partially because he's so quick that when you've got these guys running downhill, he can utilize a hole a little bit better sometimes than Isaiah can, just because of his speed. I don't know what his status is though, because he came out of the game.
I don't think
when they put Isaiah in, and I don't know if he's banged up or not.
I didn't see that at all. I guess if that happened, I missed it. I thought that Isaiah had 25 carries and Amar came in to spell him, and then Angel came in because we were up by 14 and it looked like we were driving to go up by 3 scores. And there's only 5.5 minutes left in the game. Like at that point, like, the coaching staff is thinking like, well, this game's in hand. And that's honestly watching it back. If I would not have known
at the time
this game got close, I would have been like, well, this game's over. And you would have never thought. But he said yes, was working with the trainer, never went back in. Although he didn't really have an option to go back in, looked like ankle, he says. But I don't know. So hopefully, hopefully
it's possible. It could be a mixture of both. It's one of those things. It could be a mix of both where he got dinged up, rolled an ankle. It's okay. But they're also like, well, we're up 14 right now. Let's rest him. And
but there was only 2 carries after that too. So
right. And then there was only 2 carries after it. So, and I know Steg had talked a little bit about he'd pulled we didn't run Isaiah in that much at that point either, because he said, if Isaiah gets hurt in that spot, then everybody's wondering what he's doing in the game when you're up. It looks
stupid.
So,
exactly. And he already had 25 carries.
And I am hoping with this game coming up that we come in hyper focused to prove a point. Obviously, we know the coaches aren't super thrilled with the tackling on the defense. They mentioned that a whole bunch. And I hope the offense comes out with something to prove. Chad says, yay, prevent defense. That was a lot of it. Our prevent defense, the way we prevent defense is we give up underneath routes and we make them march the whole length of the field to try to make them eat up clock. That's just the way that works. And they're trying to keep them to the inside of the field so that way they don't go out of bounds and they don't get to use that to stop the clock either. I don't love it. It's almost like when we went to prevent compared to what we did what we do all the other times. We're not a bend but don't break defense. We are a you don't get to go anywhere defense because we're that good. I think some of that was, and then we go to the prevent and it's almost bend but don't break. We weren't great, but I think a lot of that is what the coaches were so unhappy with tackling wise, because their running back led their team in receiving yards for 80 yards. He wasn't catching balls down the field. He was making people miss. I mean, if we make the tackle on a fair amount of those plays, then, as coach likes to say, joke's over. You stop there if we tackle better. I mean, the guy's a freak. That kid could move.
He is good. There were 3rd and longs on both of the end drives that, if we make tackles, it's just the game's over. Right. But what's frustrating to me is the 3rd and long defense we play, and I like the dime package we brought in, but it was a very soft dime package. It was soft zone, back up to the first down line and just make a tackle before they get to the first down, which works when you make the tackle. And that's probably why they're so angry about not making tackles, is because that's the defense we play. And if you don't execute it well, it doesn't go well. In my opinion, I don't like it. I like putting the pressure.
It's frustrating to watch as a fan, because it really takes the wind out of your sails as a fan.
Yeah. And I feel like that's SDSU football. We've given up the problem. Like it compiles. Like I feel like 3rd and long is the worst spot we can be in. I would rather be in 3rd and inches than 3rd and long. Honestly.
Right. Well, that's the interesting thing. Our defense is so good. And I was reading a thread, I think it was on FCS Fans Nation, where Kyler Neal was talking to a UC Davis fan. He's like, yeah. And the Davis fan said, yeah, all these Cal games, we went Wildcat and pounded the ball across when it was like 3rd and 2, 3rd and short, whatever. And we couldn't do that against this defense, because their run defense was just, you can't do anything against it.
Right.
On the flip side, we've got such good players that it feels like we should be able to make those tackles in the opens. We should be able to do both. We should be able to make those tackles and prevent getting burned on a deep throw. I'm sure there is some flashbacks of getting burned on, a Hail Mary in the past that we won't talk about. But yeah, it's frustrating to watch. And I don't want to put the 3rd and longs too much on, the defense we're calling now, because it is a new defensive coordinator with Jimmy at DC. I just think in the prevent, that's a different scenario than us during the regular part of the game, because I haven't noticed that issue, in the first 3 quarters of that game. That wasn't an issue. We didn't give up a bunch of 3rd and long plays that I could remember. And part of that too, on the 3rd and long, we did not have nearly the pass rush from the D line that we had at Iowa.
I would agree.
I mean, we didn't get it. I don't think we got a sack. Maybe we got one.
Hot take.
So a lot of that
Davis's offensive line's better than Iowa's offensive line.
Maybe, but a lot of it too was they liked their short throws. But even then, it didn't feel like there was a lot of heat in the quarterback's face. And we're going to need that D line to really be playing ball when we're playing Jason Shelley in 2 weeks, not to look ahead. But we're going to need everybody's A game on that one. Mm-hmm. So on this Butler game, though, man, I want to see it. We are capable of a shutout. We have that good of a defense. For the first 7 quarters of this season, we gave up a total of 13 points. I'd like to see the defense come out with an attitude and the offense to really get itself cooking and gel a little bit.
You're getting ahead of the Chad's right. Winkleman was out.
Chad's right. See what happens when you don't give me the outline?
Like you follow it anyway.
He asked me right before the show, hey, do you want the outline? I was like, fine. Chad does bring up a good point. He says, all right, let's not forget there was a lot of youth on the defense last week. There was a lot of youth all over the place.
Really a lot of youth. Yeah, we got a lot of
last week, which really it makes, if you combine that with being, a -3, but at least a -2 in the turnover differential, and still winning the game with as many starters as we had out, that is an impressive thing. I really do think Davis is going to be a better team than people expected this year.
Oh, I do too.
I don't think they're getting nearly enough credit in the Big Sky from necessarily their Big Sky media and things like that. I think they are. I don't want to say they're improved. I think they're healthier. I think that was part of their issues when they had their losing streak and then came to Brookings and then we took it out on them. And then I think a part of it is how they ended their season here, which, I said before, that reminded me so much of Southern Illinois in the spring when we went and just absolutely housed them because the game got out of control. Turnovers went crazy on them, and they were just doomed once they had 5 turnovers. And they were a better team than that. And it's not like the stats were all super sideways. It was, we returned 2 picks for a touchdown, and games happen like that. So I wasn't shocked that this game turned out to be close.
Right.
You know, and like you said, it was on its way to being an impressive, really solid victory that nobody had any problems about. And then a turnover happens. That's why turnovers are so important. You know, I'm not ringing an alarm bell, at least, or hitting the panic button on this season just yet, just because, especially on the offense. I mean, I think you could see throughout the course of that game that they were continually improving. Get the snaps down and get them, you know, get that really consistent. And, you know, like Matt said, that's a tough thing to do for a center. All of a sudden, it's kind of like when a pitcher starts not being able to hit the strike zone, and then it just snowballs on them and they walk 8 batters. You know, it's one of those things where you want it to be natural and you don't really have to think about it. So that's hopefully going to be sorted out here soon. And, you know, that's kind of what the non-conference is for a little bit, to get yourself ready for the conference season.
Yeah.
And you got the W, you know. I know some people are upset saying like, well, this is going to hurt us come seeding time. Like, no, this would have hurt us if it was at the end of the season. FCS seedings and playoff picks and everything like that have such heavy recency bias that if it's coming down to a 24-22 win over UC Davis at the end of the year, then we're probably not where we want to be anyways.
Yeah, no, I don't think this hurts us in seeding discussions unless UC Davis has a terrible season, which I highly doubt that. That's a solid team, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's week 2. Our last 2 wins, or our last 2 games, could have been against awful teams, but we don't know it. You know, you don't know those things till week 4, 5, 6, right, and all that stuff.
The last thing I'll say about,
you can say my name. I heard it from more people than just you, Chad. This was a general statement, and I didn't mean it against you at all, because that's the end of the game. We always have high emotions at the end of a game, win or lose. We're always wound up at each other about something. It's just the joy of sitting between me and Chad. Usually it's us yelling at each other.
Some of us have higher emotions at the end of a game than others.
Yeah, that was one time, Ben. One time. Okay.
All right. The last thing I will say about this game, and it's kind of leading into next game, but one thing I would like to see from the offense is tempo. I feel like we could have used it against Iowa. It's tough to use it when you're not getting in a rhythm, but I feel like we should have used it against UC Davis in terms of, like, when we get a first down, like, just keep going. Don't huddle up, let them regroup. Let's pile on them. Get some tempo, get into a rhythm, and then take some short completions too. Like, I feel like we're almost forcing the deep ball. Like, we're forcing that big play. I feel like we just need to get it into our playmakers' hands. The Yankee boys both can make dudes miss in space. And I feel like we need to let them do that. So that's one thing I'd like to see going forward. That's the last thing we'll say about that game. We should go into the pick recap.
Do we want to do the rankings or the pick recap?
We'll go pick recap, and then we'll go rankings, and then we'll go.
Then we'll go fade Brendan, get rich.
Yeah.
Did you catch up to me this week or no?
Nah.
Let's recap. It's the recap, baby.
It's the recap.
Am I going to get you a pretty pink pony to sit on your shoulder while you're doing this, or what?
It's a recap.
That could be the consolation prize. You have to have a pink Beanie Baby unicorn sit on your shoulder for the whole time.
The whole year?
Whole year.
I don't think so.
Yes.
And I I don't think so because it's not. It's not a great start to the season for me.
No, even better. I had a better one. Than that.
What?
Have you seen those like gamer girl pink cat ear headphones?
Oh yeah,
That's what the loser has to use for the next season.
Not the whole year. No.
Yes.
Maybe episode 1, but
no. At least it has to make at least 3 or 4 appearances. Chime in on the comments here if you guys think it should be a full season or how many games.
What should be the punishment?
What should be the punishment?
Punishment for losing the picks segment.
Yeah, I think we need some fan interaction. We need some help.
The fan vote one, because speaking of our pick segment, it is sponsored by Shenanigans, which is the best place to watch away games. And if you, for some reason, can't make it to Brookings, which everybody should make it to Brookings, but if you can't, go to Shenanigans, watch the game. And they are a Jackrabbit bar through and through. Yep. Definitely go watch games at Shenanigans Pub. Thank you for sponsoring this segment. We are going to start with Missouri State. That game is on Thursday night, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And speaking of the Rev, he made a friendly wager. Brennan and I both picked Missouri State to win this by 11.5.
Yeah, we both took Missouri State.
We ate the points. Rev said you guys are idiots and UT Martin's a good team. Turns out they're not bad. Missouri State won, but they only won 35-30. UT Martin covered that spread. IO Rev beers down in Frisco. I will not. I will pay up on that bet.
If it's not bad enough that the guy lives down basically almost on the beach in the Gulf, it's not bad enough that he's got a pool in the backyard that he sends us pictures from all winter long. Yeah. He's now stealing your lunch money. And
I know, right?
Just robbing you. What a cruel, mean-hearted man he is.
He is, yeah.
Oh, the Podfather jumping in. I've done a polar plunge, like a real one, where you cut a hole in the ice and jump in, polar plunge for the loser. Oh, and Dustin's got a hot tub. But he's gonna. Your money's going to his hot tub fund.
Is the Podfather here, or is that
the Pod? No. This is
our title
Ryan
sponsor.
Drake, the title sponsor.
Gotcha. A polar plunge for a loss. Oof, I'd have to have one that was gonna save me because I'd be afraid I'd die if I did it in Lake Madison or something.
Right. You'll be fine. You're a moderately healthy, almost young man.
Yeah, sure. We'll call it that. All right. Anyway, we both got that one wrong. West Illinois went and embarrassed themselves. They lost 62-10.
Yeah.
That's not.
That's Western.
Yeah. Congratulations, Western.
That's the new way that's Western.
Right.
That's so Western, like it's that's so Raven.
Yeah. So they are becoming the laughingstock of the Missouri Valley at this point. That's embarrassing against Minnesota. And at
Minnesota's not bad this year.
They're going to be good this year.
Roadhouse, New Mexico State.
But dude,
they also suck.
62-10.
Yeah,
that's really bad. Youngstown State showed out against Dayton. For some reason, looking back, I don't know why I picked Dayton, but I did. That was stupid. Montana whooped up on USD pretty handily, 24-7. Embarrassed USD enough that they felt like they needed to relieve their offensive coordinator of his duties. Apparently, they didn't fire him. Apparently, he's still on the team, but
you want to talk about a tough sledding on offense. USD has 7 points this year.
Yeah,
this year, not that game. This year, they have 7 points.
Mm-hmm. That's not ideal. Not ideal at all. And like we were talking about in our text thread, like USD, they get a reprieve this week against Cal Poly, sort of like
If they don't,
they
go
better
Cal
hope
Poly,
they beat Cal Poly.
If they don't beat Cal Poly, Cal Poly only beat University of San Diego by 1. That's a Pioneer League school. They're a good Pioneer League school.
Yeah,
but
so we'll talk about that spread in a second here.
Yeah,
but USD, they follow up the Cal Poly game with NDSU and then SDSU. I think there must be a bye in there somewhere, but that's a rough schedule.
They get a bye week, of course.
Yeah, who does?
Everybody besides SDSU.
Oh yeah, that's convenient for them
about that.
And then NDSU whooped up on North Carolina A&T. We both thought that line was way too small. They won 43-3, covered their spread. Purdue housed Indiana State 56-0.
Youch.
Looking back on that one again, why in the world did I pick Indiana State?
I took Purdue, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. It was 34.5.
Oh my God, I'm killing you this year.
Yeah, well, just hold on. UND has saved me. They won 29-27 over UNI. They won by 2.
I took UNI, didn't
the spread was -1.5. They covered by a half a point.
I want to recount.
But that's a big win for UND and a big loss for UNI. I mean, that kind of sets both of those teams up for UND up for success of kind of a path to the playoffs, UNI for a difficult road to the playoffs.
UNI to the type of season they have every year.
Oh yeah.
This is what they do. They'll lose some tough, close games early, and then they're going to go on a tear. And knowing us, we're going to play them right about the time that they absolutely have to win to stay in the playoffs. Yep, that'll be about that time. So we play them towards the end of the season, and it's going to be a win or go home game in the UNI Dome.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get to do that. So everything is
second,
they are a clock.
Second to last game of the year against UNI. So
like clockwork.
That's good. Southern Illinois, what is going on down?
They're terrible, dude. They're so bad.
What is it? Is it Carbondale?
Carbondale.
Is that where they are?
Yeah.
They brought in. Chad says USD's points came in garage time.
Oh God, I'm just putting them up now so everybody can see what we deal with in text messages all day.
Garage time is
they weren't at home, Chad.
This is oh jeez.
Montana plays outside.
This is a guy.
Chad, now here's a guy.
Here's the deal. Here's a guy.
Here's a guy.
Here's a guy who has an electrical engineering degree, but
it's
can't
not a spelling degree,
but can't type worth a shit.
Oh, I love you, Chad.
And I feel like as much shit as we give him, he would pay more attention, but he just doesn't give a damn.
He just doesn't care.
Which is why I love Chad.
If he wanted to.
Which is why care. That's why I love him so much.
That's how he lives his life.
I love it. But yeah, back to Southern Illinois. Wow. Every engineer.
Let's get the engineer all defensive. Listen here.
Chill. I'm also an electrical engineer. Chill with that stereotype. Chad with the hashtag truth. I assume purposely missed that truth.
Purposely done.
I assume. Yeah. Well, it depends, Ryan.
No, nobody's been like, engineers are just usually magnificent wordsmiths. They are
not normally, but I'm an electrical
wizards.
Engineer. How do I do typing and talking?
Yeah, but it's a stereotype. It's not every person.
Okay. All right. Back to Southern Illinois. What is going on there? Because they played an Incarnate Word team last week who was, we're like, oh, well, Incarnate Word is really good.
We think.
And then they play a SEMO team who Southern Illinois is favored by 17.5 against. And we're like, well, this is a chance for Southern Illinois to get right.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up losing 34-31.
Mm-hmm.
They not only did not cover the spread, but they lost. So I don't know what's going on down there. Isn't this? They still have the same head coach that everybody is like, oh, this guy.
Yeah, Nick Hill. It's still Nick Hill.
But still, everybody's like, oh, this guy's gonna be coaching the FBS soon. Like,
not after this. Not if they keep this up.
Maybe not so much anymore.
Right. And I think Hill's a good coach, so I don't know what their deal is down there, but to be fair, Incarnate Word looks really good. They beat Nevada last week.
Oh, I'm not talking about the Incarnate Word game. I'm talking about this game where you lose when you're up, when you're 17.5-point favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it's almost like I mean we almost did that too because we were 17.5-point favorites as well.
Right.
Speaking of that one, we both picked UC Davis against our own will, but we did, and we were right.
Mm-hmm.
UC Davis covered. SJC won by 2. So with that, let's go ahead and show where the SES Fans Nation poll is the best poll in the nation. If you don't watch FCS Fans Nation, dudes, go watch them. Wait, did I say best poll in the nation?
Yes.
I meant stupidest poll in the nation because they have us dropping down to 3. No, I'm just kidding.
If you want me to be honest, because I voted in this, I think Chad votes and Dallas does. I actually dropped us below the Grizz. I think they looked better. I'm a big results guy when it comes to voting. I don't like to vote based on the future and what a crystal ball might tell me, like Chris Hammond. It's no, but in all seriousness, that doesn't surprise me as it sits right now.
No, I don't.
And
I feel like if we close out our game, we end up going and scoring a touchdown, winning by 21 points. Right. I feel like we have a case to say that, hey, we should be number 2.
In my opinion, our 2 games are comparable or better than Montana.
Right.
Because even though I think UC Davis is going to end with a better season probably than USD,
right?
It's a very comparable game. And, they won 28-7, or no, they won 24-7.
They won 24-7.
Yeah.
And it sounds like USD's in was it garage time?
Yeah. In garage time, they scored. So they were winning 24-0. And then the door shut. Somebody pulled their car in. Guy tripped over it. Somebody got doored trying to cover receiver.
Yeah, I mean it happens. It's garage time. Everybody knows about garage time.
Garage time. You have a couple brewskis, chocolate milks.
And nobody cares about garage time.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Garage time
if you score points in garage time, it's like you didn't even score them because it's garage time.
Right. That's right. Hey, I'm having garage time tomorrow night. You can come over and watch the NFL game if you want.
That sounds like a great time.
Yeah.
What? Hey, there he is. He showed up. Chad showed up for the old.
Chad's home.
Hey, Chad.
Hey, I had the wrong headset on, so I was delayed there.
Were you in?
If there's a way to mess it up, I'll find it.
Were you having garage time or? Hey, you're getting here for garage time.
I just got home.
Anyway, but yeah, so there's the FCS Fans Nation poll. For those that can't see it, which we were assuming people could see it, NDSU is number 1.
Subscribe.
Yeah, do that. Slap the bell, as they say. SDSU number 3. Incarnate Word makes a big jump up to number 5, rightfully so.
You're supposed to be reading these for people, and you're skipping numbers.
Well, I was just highlighting Missouri Valley teams. I'm not going to read the whole thing.
There's only 25 names. Fine, whatever. Yeah, go on FCS Fans Nation YouTube or Twitter, and you can see all of them on there.
Yeah, follow them on Twitter. I'll look at them on Facebook. Back to the Missouri Valley teams. Missouri Valley, Missouri State, number 7. And then if you go to the rest of them, we have down to UND at number 22. Looks like Southern Illinois dropped off. Yep. And USD is not on. So now we only have...
And UNI dropped off as well, too. I believe they might have been on there last week.
Yeah. So we've only got 4 teams in the top 22, 3 teams in the top 7 or 8 or whatever Missouri State was.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Couple teams to highlight. Delaware has looked really good. They've got a FBS win under their belt.
They beat Navy,
They beat Navy. Who else got a big Richmond walloped the Camels of Campbell. So they're looking pretty decent. So, there's some good. Holy Cross beat Buffalo. I mean, that's a pretty big upset for a Patriot League team. I mean, Buffalo's
nothing to sneeze at.
They're not an awful FBS team. So some good few of the FCS upsets that happened this weekend. Again, if you want to see the whole poll, I retweeted it on my Twitter, but I tweet so much it might be buried. So scroll through the FCS Fans Nation Twitter handle and you'll find it on there.
Yeah. For sure. All right. So let's get into this week's picks. There's a lot of FBS matchups, which is fun to see how FCS teams fare against FBS teams. It's kind of weird that week 3 is a big week for FBS matchups. Usually it's kind of week 1, but just, I don't know, kind of happened this year. Youngstown State goes to Kentucky. Youngstown State is a 27-point underdog at Kentucky, who Kentucky is ranked, I think, in the top 10. Yeah, they're number 9.
They're number 9.
So Kentucky is looking good. Youngstown State just came off a big win against Dayton, but it's Dayton. So I'll let you go ahead and pick your Kentucky minus 27.
Minus 27? Oof, that's a lot. I am going to take Kentucky in this one. I think they're going to pull away at half. It's a top 10 team from the SEC. And I mean, granted, it's Kentucky, but I don't. Youngstown State can make me a believer if they keep this at like a 10-point game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I gotta take Kentucky as well. I screwed up last week not taking the FBS big favorites against like Indiana State. And yeah, I'll take Kentucky. Then we have an interesting one. Southern Illinois goes to Northwestern. Northwestern is a 14.5-point favorite at home. Northwestern, they're perennially like a decent team. They did beat Nebraska, but Nebraska's proven that is not a big deal. However,
Figured it out.
I will take nice job, Ariel. Thank you for helping Brennan out on zooming in. I will take Northwestern to cover that spread against Southern Illinois. I think they continue with their struggles before they hit conference play.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Northwestern in that game. I don't like the chances. Southern Illinois just doesn't look right. And I think Rev and some people are right when they say 30 transfers. I mean, dude, that's a third of a roster. Not even the travel roster. That's a third of the whole roster, So it's kind of one of those deals where, damn, I think there's some chemistry issues there.
Yep. And then we've got Montana goes to Indiana State. This one was kind of surprising to me. Montana's favored by 18.5. I'll take Montana all day on this spread. I think they win by 30.
Yeah. I think the difference this year, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, we've only got 4 Missouri Valley football teams ranked in the top 25. I think that ends with probably 5 more so. But I think the bottom, man, like your Western and, Indiana State, I think they just stink out loud. So I am going to go ahead and take Montana on this one, even if it is at Indiana. I mean, Indiana State almost lost to North Alabama at home.
Earl of Burmer. If nobody knows what we're talking about when we say that, go look at their new logo. Their font they chose is terrible. The A's look like ours.
They wanted to make it sound like you're from Alabama.
We should probably. I mean, we have to qualify that inside joke so people don't think we're stupid.
That's true.
More stupid than they already think we are. And then we've got Cal Poly goes to USD. How much do you think USD is favored by in this one?
18 points.
USD is favored by 20.
Damn.
So it's close.
I saw that earlier too. I saw that on Borg's. Should have remembered it.
I tried to. Yeah.
Oh man. But fun side note from our good friend of the show, Bradley Koenig. Amazing that Northwestern tickets are as low as $2 and Arizona tickets are as low as $6. That's ridiculous. That's almost as ridiculous as say, I don't know, say it's your home opener, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then say you have to do buy one, get one tickets for like a stadium that's smaller than 10,000 seats. Like that would be super embarrassing. I'd be embarrassed if I was that team, whoever that might be.
Did someone locally do that?
I believe the word on the street is that some team that takes up residence in a wastewater treatment plant for their games, I believe they had to do that. Is what I had heard.
Ooh, that's embarrassing.
That's unfortunate. But anyways, our ticket sales look really good actually for the Beef Bowl coming up here. So that's going to be cool. I'd love to see like 17.5 would be sick.
I was happy with. I heard there's over 15 at the first one.
Right.
I was happy with that.
The west side was packed. And the students are what carried that baby.
Yeah.
There was a ton of them. I guess, shout out. Way to go, students. Hell yeah. If you're a student listening to this, you guys were great. I think the beer sales was a huge. I don't think the beer sales, it was nice as an adult fan. I don't know if it drew in like a boatload of extra adult fans to the game, but I think it drew in a huge amount of people to the game that were students. I think that made a huge difference there. So, and they stayed. I'd say a good 3/4 of them stayed until 5 minutes left. It looked like the game was in hand and a fair chunk left. But they did a really good job. They were even spilling over into that corner section, which was pretty sweet. So keep that energy, keep it up
for sure. How did we get here?
We're talking about Northwestern
attendance
prices, and Cal Poly and USD are playing each other, and
USD
favored by 20.
So yeah, USD's favored by 20. I think I'll take USD in this one. I think Cal Poly's got a down year. I think USD's looking to prove a point. I think they win by 24.
Yeah, I hate to agree with you on this, specifically with the offensive coordinator change. Maybe if that doesn't happen, then it's different. But now you're going to be throwing new wrinkles that they aren't necessarily prepared for, Adam, in this game that they don't have film on. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Yotes because this is like their do or die game, man. Like they need to get some momentum here, or they are up shit creek without a paddle, and they're gonna have a bad time.
And I don't know, it just kind of gave the vibes of like with their almost desperate move of like making the O coordinator change. It like
feels like there's some serious heat,
kind of hot seat.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, the guy's been with Nielsen for what, like 17 years. He played for him as his quarterback in Duluth when they won the national title. Like, you don't just yoink someone that's that close to you unless there's bigger reasons than playing as good of a defense as Montana has and another good FBS team and only scoring 7 points. Like, that is an early panic button move, if you ask me.
I 100% agree. After that, we've got Southern Utah going to Western Illinois.
Rude.
No, I didn't. Not on my list.
Well, whatever. Okay, fine.
On
We're not
my
following
list-
his list, everybody. So don't. You just
So-
go on your screen and mark them off with Sharpie, so you can see which ones we have left. It'll come off. You just hit the delete button and it'll go away.
So what do you think the spread is in this game?
Southern Utah at Western Illinois.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who's favored? What's the spread?
Southern. I think Southern Utah is going to be favored by 12.
Here's the deal. I'm just gonna make sure that I wrote this down correctly.
Okay. Is Western favored?
Yes.
Give me the Thunderbirds all day.
It doesn't
Really?
look right.
Y'all. No way.
It doesn't look right. No, it's right. Okay. Western Illinois is 6.5-point favorites against Southern Utah.
Shut up.
How many
For real?
how many mortgage payments are you going to put on this game?
Oh my God. A lot. All of them? Like all of them? Oh my God. Really?
I'm telling you, yeah, that's
Good
what.
Lord.
And this is probably a reaction to Southern Utah losing to Utah 73-7. Like that's
Right.
we talk about 50 burgers. That's a 70 burger.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
that's
I
a
hear you,
lot.
but that was a pissed off, like, ranked FBS.
Yeah, they were angry for losing that first game for
Western
sure.
Illinois got murdered by who? Minnesota?
Minnesota and previously Tennessee Martin.
Right. Yeah, Tennessee Martin laid the wood to him too, didn't they?
It was 42-25.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, Tennessee Martin's a top 25 team, but
Yeah.
give me the Thunder Chickens. I mean, unless they have issues with travel, I'm gonna take the Thunderbirds all day.
I mean, there's no snow, there's no blizzard in the forecast, so yeah, I think we're good. Sean mentioned the money coming in from beer sales. It's got to be good. That's possible.
Right.
All right. Anyway, have we picked all the same picks so far?
I don't know. Are you keeping track?
Yeah, I am, and I feel like we have.
It's plausible.
This is becoming the most boring pick segment ever.
This is
because you're just tailing me.
It's called holding the lead, baby. I picked this one
in the battle of the suck. I like that. Southern Utah and Western Illinois, the battle of the suck. So outside of that, we've got UND going to Northern Arizona. UND is favored by 7.5. That's a tough spread.
Oh. It's UND on the road. I'm going to take Northern Arizona at home. They looked half decent so far this year. I'm going to take Northern Arizona. The UND is coming off a big emotional win against this team that they hate but hadn't played since the early 2000s. So I'm going to go ahead and take Northern Arizona in that game.
I absolutely hate the spread.
What is the spread? I didn't even ask for the spread. I just picked it. What an idiot.
No, I said UND's favored by 7.5.
Oh, yeah, definitely Northern Arizona.
I know. That's the thing. Like, you can't take UND by over a touchdown at Northern Arizona.
Don't be a coward.
I'm not going to. This is not
chicken.
This isn't
coward.
This isn't where I'm going to make my stand.
See, you get mad that I'm picking the same thing as you, and then the first thing you do is pick the same thing as me.
Yeah. Well, now we've got Sacramento State going to Northern Iowa. What are you laughing at?
The comment from Dustin: 7,000 feet above sea level. Can the United States Postal Service fly that high? That's a dig on UND's stupid new logo. Yeah. It looks like the post office.
It does look like the post office. But he did mention Northern Arizona beat Sam Houston State.
Right.
10-3.
Like I said.
I mean, they're not a bad team.
I'm feeling like I'm part of the way to a parlay here.
Yeah. Let's
honest to God. This feels parlay-ish to me.
We should.
And the last time we felt really good about a parlay, it was a dumpster fire. You remember that?
Yeah.
We're like, oh, this is free money. We're gonna buy this down. It's gonna be like free money. And we did it.
Deal.
And we hit on like one of them.
We're still angling for any sports book to sponsor us.
Yes.
We could come up like Pat McAfee puts out his parlay of the week or whatever. Like we could come up with a parlay of the week.
Absolutely.
Easy. This is easy money at this point. The B team easy money parlay of the week. All right.
Oh man, and we got a title. Let's go.
Sac State at UNI. UNI needs a win in a pretty desperate way. UNI is a 3.5 point favorite against Sac State.
I'm gonna take the Panthers there. I'm taking UNI at home to take Sac State after a long flight. Yeah, at home. They went to Sac State last year early season and mollywopped them. So I think when they come back here, they're gonna win by more than 3. They're gonna win by a touchdown or 2, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that Northern Iowa takes care of business here and wins it by at least a touchdown. The interesting thing, I went and looked back at Sac State's schedule. They played Utah Tech, who formerly known as Dixie State.
Yep.
But it's kind of weird seeing their new name, Utah Tech.
I have to triple check every time I do like a, who the hell's that? That's some D2 school. Oh no, never mind.
Right.
We played them.
All right.
What'd they beat them by?
56-33, Sac State won against Utah Tech.
About what they should have done, I suppose.
Yeah. Missouri State is a 24-point underdog going to Arkansas.
That's a tough one because Shelley can score points, but on the other hand, I don't know.
Also in the top 10
line. Yeah, I don't know about that offensive line against the SEC defense.
That's the thing is like Missouri State. I mean, they've scored some points, but they've shown that their defense is suspect.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna take Arkansas. I'm usually really prone to take the FCS school in these, but I'm gonna take Arkansas in this one. Especially after all the SEC schools had the big upsets on them. Like, they're not going to be taken as a joke.
I will take Missouri State to keep it within 24.
That's fair. I think they lose by like 27.
Yeah. I think they hang in there for the first half and then lose by 20. So hopefully they cover 24. Eastern Illinois goes to Illinois State. Illinois State is favored by 15.5.
Whoa,
that's a lot.
But Illinois State sucks so bad this year.
They do. They're in the.
Dustin makes a good point about that game. Arkansas is going to win by distracting Petrino with a motorcycle.
That's brutal.
Well played, good sir. That is some good Waction input there. Boy. Oh, that's going to be... Now I kind of want to watch that game. Why has it got to be at the same time as us? That's an interesting one.
So, Eastern Illinois actually played Northern Illinois pretty close. They lost 34-27, and they lost to Chattanooga 38-20.
It's 16 points.
Yeah, 15.5. I'll take Eastern Illinois to cover.
Right. I'm gonna take Illinois State just because they're at home. I think they lose by 14. Believe in the SPAC stash.
You think they win by 15.5 or more?
Illinois State's favored by 15.5.
That's how far off you thought the line was.
I thought you said Eastern Illinois was favored by 15.5.
Illinois State is favored
Oh, give me Eastern Illinois all day.
Okay, I was gonna say
all day.
I feel like we're not on the same page here.
Oh my God, I could have swore you said Eastern Illinois.
Add it to the B team parlay of the week.
Yeah.
Eastern Illinois to cover the easy spread.
Yeah.
I'll add this one to the parlay of the week. NDSU goes to Arizona. NDSU is favored by 1, which I wonder when the last time an FCS team was favored over a top or a Power 5 conference team. I don't think. Dustin says Brendan making mistakes in garage time. It's definitely garage time. We're over 1:10 at this point.
Oh, hey, we're doing it anyways. Hey, remember what did I say at the beginning of the podcast before we started?
We need a stats guy. When's the last time an FCS team was favored over a Power 5 team?
Probably somebody against. Were we favored against Kansas?
No,
I think we were.
No.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
that last game.
I'm pretty sure we weren't.
Oh,
I think we were like 7-point underdogs. Anyway, NDSU is favored by 1. Give me NDSU all day.
I'm torn. This is, I hear things about Arizona's quarterback that he can really sling the rock. If Arizona throws it around enough that they could play the game you want to play against NDSU and make them chase points. So I'm going to take Arizona in that just to be a pain in the ass. I think I'm going to take Arizona because there is a part of me that will giggle quite a bit if NDSU's reign of terror over FBS opponents ends not against Iowa, not against Kansas State, not against Minnesota, to freaking Arizona, who had 2-3 wins last year. That will be really funny to me. So I'm going to take the Wild Kittens.
Just for the comedic factor?
Yeah, just for comedy.
All right. Seth Meyer mentioned NDSU is favored over Iowa State in 2014. I think the Rev mentioned NDSU over K-State maybe, but I think K-State was favored in that one.
I think K-State was favored in that game.
Anyway, the last pick that we have is South Dakota State against Butler. Chad, how do you feel about the spread in this one?
It's pretty big. And
no, what did you predict it was?
Yeah.
I don't know that people need to know my joke.
Well, he was doing it. He wasn't including garage time points. So
true.
No garage time involved.
Chad thought we were playing basketball against Butler.
It was meant as, an incentive to get the offense clicking.
All right. Mm-hmm. So Chad picked a spread that was way too low, but SDSU is favored by 52 points against Butler.
When are we going to get Seth on here with the Culver's 50 Butterburger?
50 Butterburger.
Great Culver's advertising opportunity for the Butterburger.
The total is only 57.5. So yeah, they're predicting a 55-3 win over Butler.
55.5 to 3.
Right. So I just this spread is the worst again.
It is the worst. Any spread in a game like this, any spread that's like 38 or bigger, I hate.
Right.
Because it's if we play really well and we're focused, then we're good.
We should win 60-0.
But Stig likes to pull the plug, so.
Oh
wow!
That's a challenge from Seth Meyer. Are we even going to score 40?
Buddy, youch! I'm gonna. You know what? Seth, to counteract your bad vibes there, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Jacks in this game. I think the offense is coming out to prove a point. The defense is going to come out to prove a point because they are having a miserable week, I'm sure, if they were mad enough to not give them a player of the week. So I'm going to go ahead and take us against the spread.
I can't. I'm going to take Butler plus 52.
And it's probably because what Garrett says here, like, damn, we barely did that to Lindenwood last year. Ironically, Lindenwood actually has more scholarship athletes on it than Butler does. And Butler is like, if this was San Diego or maybe even St. Thomas, I would probably be more inclined to not take us in this spread. But Butler's more of a middle of the pack team, and like the Rev says, Lindenwood is a much better team than Butler. So
yeah, that's not apples to apples. Yeah. However, I feel like we win like, I don't know, 45-3 or something. Like I feel like 52 is just kind of a crazy spread.
Well, what the 52 points comes down to is, are you confident that our second stringers are going to back it up?
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm torn on here is, we all know Stig still has reservations ever since the Arkansas Pine Bluff game, right? So he's going to be totally against looking like he's running up the score,
right?
But on the flip side, we've got an offense that needs to get into sync. We've got offensive line that's got to gel. We've got a defense that's been getting chewed on all week about poor tackling and is going to want to get some turnovers. So I think Lujan is going to give the offense an opportunity to hit some big plays and get the Yankees involved and try to get those guys in rhythm with Mark. And I think the offensive line is going to start busting some big holes. And I think that's going to continue through to the second and third string guys that get in there. And because that's really what it comes down to on a 50-point spread is, do you think second and third stringers are going to score points or not?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's going to be tough. What was Dustin's comment there?
Sorry. You go ahead, Chad. You're producing now.
Butler scores, but I don't think SCSU breaks 40. I think we break 40, but I don't think we win by 52.
Yeah. I think it's it is amazing how fast the narrative can shift after 2 games from what the start of the season was and where we're at now. So, and it's not necessarily wrong. I think the offense just is going to end up being different than what we thought it was. At the start of the year, I think we were picturing high-flying bunch of points offense, and this might be more of a ball control, bust them over the top, suck them in on play action sort of offense when things start gelling. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we have a new OC that might be what Lujan wants to run.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think we take care of business. I think we use it to get our offense right. I think our offensive line has a good game. I think Gronowski gets into a rhythm. I think it's a get right game for us heading into a big Missouri State game, which again, don't want to look ahead, but that's a huge matchup that we'll discuss next week. Before we go, Chad, Chad, where you at? Come back.
I want to bring something else up about the game.
You want to?
If I could. Yeah.
I was just going to share.
It is.
You go ahead.
It's the blackout. We're doing a blackout again, in case somebody didn't hear. So
we
it
should
is a
have
blackout
mentioned that way before an hour 20 because.
Right. We've lost everybody at this point. I'm sure most people turn this off, or they just maybe fast forward to the picks. So maybe you're catching.
I'm just glad we're doing the blackout in a game that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, this game matters. Every game matters right now.
But we should win handedly.
Right.
Yeah. So wear black for the game.
Yep. Wear your
You
JI gear.
could, I was say, it might be too late to order JI gear for now, but maybe for previous years, or for not previous, future years, you could order JI gear for in anticipation of future blackouts.
Right.
Yeah, white pants comments are coming through. It may or may not happen.
Black and white works well together, though.
Can I go ahead and share my screen? I just wanted to shout out. Is it? Can it put up my screen?
You got to click the share at the bottom there, Ben.
I did.
You're not allowed.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
I'll put it up for you.
Shout out to Chad White Walker Myros this week with his washed out white face. That's and blue eyes. Faces. I'm watching Game of Thrones.
Oh my god, Chad's been here for like 10 minutes of this podcast, and all we've done is roast him. That is just.
We need to get.
I gotta provide some value.
We need to get the guy a ring light or something. He's got some lighting issues in there, but
right.
Anyway,
might even change the color.
He's scrambling to figure out his.
Is that a little better?
That's better. There you go.
Hey,
you don't look like a White Walker anymore. Sorry, I'm watching Game of Thrones. It just reminded me I had to
pull it up. The friendly ghost.
Well, I'm not unfriendly, Dustin.
All right,
that's true.
With that, we better end it before we go any longer. Go big, go blue, go Jacks.
I think we